Hey Refed, it's Cultivate Food Rescue in South Bend, Indiana, and we wanted to share our proudest moment of the last year. We opened our brand new 22,000 square foot cold storage facility, allowing us to rescue 4 million pounds of food. We passed our 10 million pound food mark, and we will be on track to hold up to 22 million pounds of food in a year.
This year, Food Forward is on track to hit our biggest milestone yet. 500 million pounds of surplus produce recovered. That's 500 million pounds of food prevented from going to waste, feeding our communities instead.
At Gather in New Hampshire, in 1 year, we transformed over 100,000 pounds of food rescued from the food service industry into 90,000 meals, offsetting over 4,000 metric tons of CH4.
One thing we're extremely proud to say is that it took RLC nearly 10 years to reach our first 10 million pounds of food. And just 2 years later this year, we celebrated the rescue of over 20 million pounds of food.
Last year, Spoonfuls recovered more than 5.5 million pounds of food, the most in our history. In and out of the hunger relief space, people are considering how to maximize food resources more than ever before. At Spoonfuls, we're committed to scaling our impact and delivering food with purpose.
At Table to Table, we reduce waste and relieve hunger through our food rescue programs. Last year, we kept more than 23 million pounds of nourishing food out of landfills and delivered it to communities in need, helping our neighbors and our planet while creating a more sustainable New Jersey.
2024, Last Mile Food Rescue saved 4.4 million pounds of good food. Key to the success was the addition of a refrigerated storage container that can hold up to 18 pallets of food. This way, we were able to say yes to every donation that came our way. Together, we're solving food insecurity and food waste for our community.
Hi, I'm Sandy from Food Rescue US. The accomplishment we're proud of is last year 24,000 volunteers took action, completing over 122,000 food rescues across the US. 2,000 of them were brand new food rescuers. The result, 36 million pounds of food kept out of landfill.
Okay, good morning, everybody. How was last night? Yeah? I feel like there's 20% of us not here. I'm scared what happened. We all know what it's like day two after a really strong day one. Hopefully the coffee is hitting and you guys are awake. But I can tell you, Refed, man, this morning's sessions are going to be out of control. They were smart in thinking kind of where we'd all be right now, which is it's early. Some of us have some flights we've got going on. But we hope that you guys can be present. You can be right here with us because we have a couple of sessions that I think are going to just blow your mind. Being a local Seattleite, like I said, I was born down the street. I'm really proud of Washington State and a lot of the progress that we've made when it comes to tackling food waste in so many different areas. And so we thought we'd take half hour or so to talk to some leading experts right here in Washington, learn from them what's been working, what's been challenging. Just like anywhere else, it's not all roses. And so we're gonna bring them up. We're gonna kind of do a little round table. So without further ado, do our four experts want to come join me on stage? Give them a round of applause. Come on up. The water is warm. The powerhouse is so real with this crew. I can't even deal with it. Okay. So I thought we'd just start, I could intro you, but I think it's better for you to intro yourself. And then, give us a little about you, and then I might have a little follow-up question. But why don't we start with Valerie? Valerie, tell us about you.
Hatsel Hail, Valerie Segrest Seedsta, Buckelshuth Obsted. Good day, my name is Valerie Segrest, and I'm a member of the Muckleshoot tribe, located just south of here at the base of the beautiful Mount Rainier, or Tahoma, as we call it. I'm the CEO and founder of Tahoma Peak Solutions. We're a Native women-owned firm that focuses on food strategies and food sovereignty initiatives and community engagement and culturally relevant data and research. So my background is in nutrition and food systems management.
And a big part of what you do is kind of bringing indigenous ways forward and helping kind of tell us about that and that work and why that matters.
Well, as a nutritionist, I know that I'm excited about science and carbs and proteins and minerals. Like I can geek out on all that stuff.
You geek out on carbs? I guess I do too, yeah.
That's why we study nutrition, Joel.
Yeah.
But for us, our foodways are more than just nourishment. They're ceremonies, they're relationships, they're teachings, teachers. We think of food as more than just resources and commodities to be extracted from the land. And so for me, that's really about like a deeper sense of nourishment and connection through relationships. And for the people that I serve and am beholden to, that is also a healing journey because it has been something that has been intentionally severed, those indigenous foodways and practices from our way of life. And so returning to that and reclaiming that is actually part of a really strong and powerful healing journey that I don't think applies to just us, but like everybody globally. So, as my teachers often say, like,
it's beautiful.
When we stop sort of fractionating food in that way and start developing a deeper relationship of honor and the honorable harvest and all those things, we can see it in a different way and value it in a different way. And that's important, especially for the concept of this gathering.
I think when people have such a closer relationship to food, they value it more, period. And if there's ways that you can bridge those relationships and it's not just an afterthought or a way to fuel your body on the way to work, it really changes people's perspective. That's beautiful. Thank you. Liz, tell us about you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Liz Fikejs, Seattle Public Utilities, department within the city of Seattle. And I just want to say for a second here, pause, and I'm so glad ReFed is here in Seattle this year. It's exciting to see so many people, and I really hope that everyone's enjoying this beautiful place. So I work on food waste prevention in the commercial sector as well as food rescue. And I'm also a representative for the Pacific Coast Food Waste Commitment for the city and sit on U.S. Food Waste Pact Advisory Council. I think I got that title right.
I love when you're such a badass you forget your own accolades. It's amazing. We also want to thank you. You are a big part of putting this on and kind of integrating Seattle and everything that we have here. So thank you, Liz. So question for you, and I don't know this, even being a chef here and someone who I would consider is involved in food waste. What does diversion look like right now in Seattle?
Yeah, so diversion is definitely part of the big picture. Seattle's known for its composting. We banned food waste from garbage in 2015, but there was a long lead up to that. So in the early 2000s, we started by helping build the ethic and the knowledge that food waste does not belong in the garbage. We started with our single-family customers, providing curbside carts. They already had them for yard waste. Now they could add food waste, but that's only part of the picture, right? So in 2009, that was accessible. A few years later, we added the multifamily sector. So anyone living in an apartment building had the convenience of putting their food waste in a cart, and that food waste went to compost. Then in 2015, it became universal. So now all Seattle businesses, it did not matter what size, small or large, had to divert their food waste out of the garbage. But all that said, and there was a lot of outreach, a lot of education, reinforcing, certainly the policies, but today we still have about 20% of our garbage being food waste. So diversion, we can't compost our way out of this, right? I mean, imagine if those dumplings that you and John re-prepared yesterday had just gone to compost. That's good food. We know some of that food just needs to be repurposed and enjoyed. And we know some of that food, when it's in abundance, needs to be redistributed and provided to those who don't have enough access to that food. So prevention and food rescue, we're doubling down on that as well.
So that's where your focus is, just before it even has a chance to get to the bin.
Right.
And where is that? Is that education? Is that like, how do you, what part is specifically?
Yeah, so it's across all sectors.
Yeah.
Cheryl Anais, who's out here, who spoke earlier this morning, focuses on the consumers and all of us are consumers. All that we can do at home, the decisions we make when we're buying food. It's also about different practices in businesses. Everyone's seeing how Hyatt is managing buffets and the portion size, the serving vessels, all of that plays a big factor. So that's on the business side. There's an intersection to be had between the two. And then food rescue, boy, it's learning from hunger relief organizations and grocers to understand, and other businesses to understand where are the bottlenecks, where are the challenges, and how can SBU figure out our most potent role across all of those sectors to help and to learn.
Yeah, I love that. And we're going to talk about partnership. Thank you. Kelly, tell us about you. Yeah, we've got a couple mics, yeah.
Hi there. My name is Kelly Goodejohn, and I have the privilege of serving as Starbucks Chief Social Impact Officer. I've been with the company just over 19 years, and some of the work that my team leads, and shout out to my team. If you could raise your hands, they're right there. This is the wonderful food rescue team. But some of the things that my team do include food rescue and our food share program, as well as work of the Starbucks Foundation, the way we can invest in local nonprofits.
How long have you been doing that?
Food share or,
All of it, your
all
role.
of it.
Yeah.
So since the beginning, I would say since 1971, we have had a mission of doing good and contributing positively in the community.
Yeah.
I think many of you have had the experience to visit Pike Place Market, and that's the home of our first Starbucks. We're really proud to call Seattle our hometown. And while we have, in my opinion, the world's best coffee, we also have a higher mission to, be that hub of connection and create a sense of belonging and community. And when we think about community, in this context, something I'm really proud of is the way that we've approached food rescue and food donation in particular. It was actually an idea that came from our partners. That's what we call our employees. Many, many years ago, and they said, we don't like the idea of throwing away unsold food at the end of the night. And to your point, there's a responsibility that we have, and there's some action that we can take. And so through some trial and error, we explored what could we do. We have 10,000 coffee houses across the United States. And we started out piloting. We took the innovation of Seattle and the Pacific Northwest culture and said, how do we think differently about this problem? And over time, we developed a food rescue program that now spans across 10,000 of our stores that happens each and every night. And the way we do that is by tapping into our strength, which is logistics. So each night, as delivery drivers are bringing milk and supplies to our coffee houses, they also pick up a bag that our baristas have put together that's in the refrigeration section. They collect that along their routes into refrigerated trucks, bring it to one of the 45 food bank networks that we partner with. The food bank partner networks get out to over 800 smaller pantries throughout local communities. And again, this happens every single night to get that food from the refrigerator of our store into the hands of those who need it. And to date, I'm proud to say that we've been able to divert over 80 million pounds of food from landfill, and we've been able to provide 67 million meals.
That's amazing.
Can I just say one more thing? Because
Yeah.
this is a differentiator that we're really proud of. Because we get a tax benefit, we have committed to reinvesting 100% of that tax benefit. So it pays for the program, the logistics, the transportation, all of that. But what I'm really proud of is we're able to provide food share capacity grants to nonprofits so that they can do the work. They have the capacity they need to reach more people in their communities. And to date, over $90 million has been reinvested in hunger relief efforts.
Give it up for that. Amazing. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's a choice. I mean, I think, you know, as a big corporation, it is a choice. And you guys invested, you took a risk, and it paid off in dividends. And what advice, I mean, just from a Starbucks standpoint, whether it's a small coffee chain or a mom and pop shop to a giant retailer who have these choices and can lean in, what advice would you give just now that you've been on this journey?
Yep, so for us, we started out with a handful of coffee houses. The idea of trying to create something that could span to 10,000 locations was daunting. And when we realized we had this superpower of a logistics supply chain, it was a game changer. Instantly, we knew we could do something differently, tap into a strength in an existing service we had, which has had also enormous environmental benefits as a result. So I would say for companies, you know, take one step. Look at what you're able to do, look at your superpowers and lean into that.
Yeah.
And don't give up. We've learned from others. We were at the table with Liz many years ago, learning from others and having the conversation of what can we do better? How can we innovate? And we're not perfect. We continue to learn and evolve with our program.
I think we all see the problem so big sometimes, and I was talking to another gentleman who is a food rescuer out of Providence, and he started his company. He tried to kind of take on the full supply chain and quickly realized that wasn't his strength to do all piece of it. His piece was to rescue the food and then find other partners. And you know, my strength is storytelling and content creation. And so really, really being specific and then finding a partner, which we're going to talk about, makes a ton of sense. Thank you, Kelly. My buddy Jade.
Hey, pal. Good morning. And how about for Chef Joel? Isn't he a great, talk about storytelling. What a good MC. And thanks again to Liz and the crew. I really think Seattle is an excellent location, especially as we center on all the progress we've made in food waste reduction. It does feel like a milestone in many ways, so I don't know. I'm not going to take time to do shout-outs. I'm so sorry. Jade Monroe, her food center lead at the Department of Ecology, so if you think the state-level work here in Washington State, and I am very excited to be here today. I am also with a shout-out to my team. One more shout-out. There's a lot of really cool people working on organics management law implementation here in the state as well, including King County and many people here, Pierce County. And so in addition to me representing a lot of the information we'll share, there's many people in this room working on it as well. So if you want to learn more, there's not just me, of course, and there's a lot of new legislation in this state to talk about. And I'm sure you'll get to a question in a second, but in Washington State, just to highlight where we're at with organics management law implementation and food waste reduction, in 2019, we aligned with the international and national goals to reduce 50% by 2030, and by that way, we got to planning, and that's how I really met Liz and learned a ton. I really call Liz a mentor in a lot of ways, and we partnered up with businesses like Starbucks and other food businesses that are already doing the work, and we learned from nonprofits and across the food system on what the barriers and opportunities were, and we drafted the Use Food Well Washington plan. And I'm super honored to share that that is still a fulcrum document to this day, and many of you have approached me on how you can get that in your jurisdictions. And so in addition to that, we have now the campaign, which are some of the recommendations, and of course the center that I'm here representing, which is a part of the plan, and of course the partnership we have with you and Safeway with the Use Food Well campaign, and it all comes back to building on this work. And so I'm super excited to be here today, but I'm also here to tell you we have a lot of work left to do. Washington still generates 1.2 million tons of food waste annually. And I'm seeing we have more people in here now, so I want to ask you, guess how much of that is edible food going into the landfill? Oh, well, no more guessing. It's correct. So 500,000 tons. 500,000 tons of that is edible food going into the landfill, and you can stop laughing now because that sucks. And on top of that, we're in a worse position with food security than we were in the pandemic because food supply is down and demand is even higher than it was during the pandemic impacts. And so what I'm here to tell you today is as much as we have progress and a lot to celebrate, and that needs to be wind in our sails, and our partnerships absolutely matter, and what Starbucks and what Liz and all of the pioneers in this room are doing matters, there's a critical effort afoot, and that's why messengers like Chef Joel and the work that our municipalities and how it's ground truth with our hunger relief organizations, it's almost like the grit needs to continue to happen. So anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you for having me.
I totally agree, and our partnership has been unbelievable. So just to kind of dial deep into it, the way it shows up is, let's say you're grocery shopping at a Safeway, and there is chicken that's gonna go on sale, maybe it's gonna go bad. There will be a QR code right by the chicken that says, hey, here's how you make the most out of this chicken. And maybe chicken wasn't on the menu for that person that day. So they'll scan it, a video will come up of me or one of the 20 chefs that we work with, and it's real quick, and it's like 30 seconds, and it's meant to be inspirational. Think like social media vibes, very fun, and hopefully they grab it and they buy other things in the store. So Safeway wins, they're able to move that product. The consumer wins, they're gonna get a marked down product and they just learned something new. Department of Ecology wins, we just educated the consumer in a really strong way. So this is just an example of how we've partnered. It's just the beginning, but we've seen unbelievable signal. And do you want to talk a little bit about some of the wins?
No, I love that. And I think the big win that you just highlighted is that triple bottom line framework. Raise your hand. I'm sorry if I get pedantic here, but who's aware of the triple bottom line framework? It's the idea of there's an economic, yeah, I see a lot of hands. The lights are bright, but I see a lot of hands. The idea is there's an environmental, there's a social, and there's an economic value for the work we're doing on food waste reduction. Ideally, it doesn't become food waste to begin with, and that's why it's use food well here in Washington State. We designed that. Liz at the table, of course, and a lot of other really important partners go, how do we center on making sure food is just the valuable center of our culture to begin with? I really appreciate how you level set our entire conversation. It's cultural, commodity second, then let's get there. But the tricky part is the population centering on the economic message first. After we do all the research, 90% of the folks in Washington State go, I'm motivated by an economic message.
Totally.
20% go, the climate message is motivating. Yikes. So we're sitting there with that $3,000 message. We're sitting there with Safeway, Chef Joel, and we're going, you can save money. We can move this food. It doesn't hit the landfill, and it's feeling really successful.
Yep.
And now we're building that research, and this is really exciting developments with how we're implementing the organics management law and bringing that research for every dollar a business spends, they can get that return of 7. And we're really trying to build off of all the really amazing leadership of like Seattle Public Utilities, King County, on how do we get that business messenger, very similar to how Chef Joel, you've been a really great messenger to the consumer in Safeway, and how do we also get that food business to ride along with us and go ahead and prevent that food waste with us.
Yep.
So that's really exciting.
Totally. Well, we've kind of spent the first half of this talking about what we've done here with our amazing organizations and approaches. I want to talk about how other people can implement it. You know, I met people from all over the country yesterday. I know we are representing so many different places all over the world, really. So it's great. These are awesome. But how can these frameworks carry forward? And so I want to start with partnership. I feel like that was the theme, so I'm just going to start there. And maybe I'll pick on Liz. Hi, Liz. Do you want to talk about kind of your approach to partnership and how others can kind of do the same?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is learning. So Seattle Public Utilities, we know what we know, but we certainly didn't know, okay, what are the challenges that grocery store employees are encountering when they donate surplus food? What are the challenges that the hunger relief organizations are encountering at the dock when they're picking up the food? And so it was amazing to be able to partner with large chains like Safeway, to PCC community markets, to Town and Country, to learn on the ground what are those challenges.
Yeah.
And then to test them, right? So to take small steps, be able to go into the stores, identify, these are the communication gaps. Actually, we've filled those communication gaps when it comes to recycling by standardizing practices, by having everyone understand what that bin means. Oh, there's the sign. Here's the employee training, and apply those to food rescue. But none of this can be done in a silo, so hearing from employees directly, hearing from the hunger relief organizations to sort of better refine what works for them as well. And then to be able to take these micro partnerships and put them out so that they can be replicated. So now folks can go to the website that we have on Food Rescue and download and customize employee training and signage. So it's amplifying those partnerships out, but continually learning and checking back in.
I love that. Valerie, how about from your perspective? How do you partner?
Well, I think when we think about Indigenous foodways, we're often thinking about the past and that we're some sort of, like we're locked in history. And I think that's kind of by design in our American education system, just not really speaking about a Native person in any time past, the 1900s. And so the reality is, like, okay, so for thousands of years, Indigenous foodways have really been rooted in circularity and reciprocity, and like I spoke to, it's about relationships and teachings and ceremonies, and those things look like, the first salmon ceremony. I'm thinking about it because we all just sort of are celebrating this right now. When that first salmon is harvested from the river, all the bones, are returned back to the waters because we're taught that those bones regenerate and they go back and tell all the other salmon to come home because these are good people and they're generous and they're good hosts and they take care of us. Those same practices go to harvesting shellfish like oysters and clams, where we return clam shells, we return the shells to the water, which turns out that it increases calcium and creates habitat for krill and balances the pH of the waters. Thank you, science, for catching up to cultural teachings. And also, when we hunt, we leave the entrails because we know that there are animals and beings out there that, really covet those things and need them, and we close that circle of life. And so, for me, in my, in innovating and thinking about like a blueprint for the future, we really have to think about the first stewards of this land and what their knowledge base is around, because that's what we prioritize, is like not just us celebrating food and honoring food, but future generations having that ability too. So thinking about the future, constantly taking the best of what's available to us at the time and innovating. Like our ancestors have always been really innovative. And so for us right now, that looks like also lifting up Native food producers. And this started actually with the City of Seattle's Food Equity Fund grant. They helped us fund a research project where we looked at all of the Native-owned food businesses in Washington State, quickly got to over 20. There's lots of seafood products here, if you don't know, harvested by Native people. And then Oregon State University has also supported us in expanding that through the regional food business centers funding pushed out by the USDA a few years ago. So we now have a database of over 50 Native food producers representing Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, and Wyoming. And we hope to expand to anywhere, but hopefully Alaska and California next, and the Southwest. But it's called Native Grown and Gathered. And after talking to all of these food producers, their values were all the same. This concept of food waste, which is non-existent really in our communities, because we're thinking about this, the giving back and the reciprocity of our food system and only taking what we need at the time, like the honorable harvest. You make it look like you were never there. And because you're also saving some for future generations. All these concerns and needs of Native food producers were all the same. It's all values-based. And so anyways, we were really excited about lifting them up and eating all their food, because that's the best part too. And so we're hosting our first Native Food Expo. It's at Bell Harbor, October 1st through the 3rd. And we'll have 50 Native food producers there. You should all come.
I was about to say, how do I get a ticket? You're in front of all my friends here, so yeah.
I'm really nervous about it, but I'm also really excited. We put on these things, but not to this scale. So, and everybody's really excited about coming and just tabling and sharing what they know. And then we'll also have an additional conference for Native food entrepreneurs or people who are thinking about getting into the business so they can come and network and see what it looks like and then get some like hands-on training. So we recognize that these values also need to be lifted up into this economy because for us it's always been, it's a hard value to put on our food to sell it when it's something that we hold so dear. You know, this is the moon of the blackberry is actually right now in our Kuethe 13 moons system. And we've organized our life around harvesting blackberry at this time for thousands of years, and that's important. So how do you put a price on that and join this economy? But I think when we are in community with one another, like that's what's so refreshing about being here with all of you today. It's a reminder that we're not doing this alone. We can stand in solidarity and build really strong acts and movements and resistance and resilience. And draw from those teachings. And so we want to keep bringing those people together and let them know that there is a way to do this and to be grounded in business and values at the same time. So.
Damn. I mean, that was amazing.
I'm really excited about it. So, and you can
blown away. I have goosebumps. That was incredible. And you know, you talked about how this collaborative that you created and on all these unbelievable indigenous people, and you're starting to spread across the country. I want to talk about scale, and I'm looking at Kelly right now because scaling. You said 10,000 stores. I mean, that's true scale. And so I'd like anyone to comment, but I'm pointing at Kelly right now. How do you scale? Like how partnering, great, but like how do you scale? What is the advice there?
I mean, I think partnerships is key to how we were able to scale, and maybe I'll start inward. It started with a partnership even with our food development team, right? To ensure that all of the food, our menu items, could be able to be donated, right? That they had a second purpose to them built into the design of the product. Then it took partnering with our transportation company, our logistics company. This was a new thing for us to ask them to do. They had never done something like this before. They weren't used to delivering crates and crates of food to food banks. That wasn't part of their business model. So we had to partner there and create that model. And then, of course, the hunger relief organizations, ensuring that the system of receiving food each day could get back out into the communities very, very quickly. And so in the Seattle area, we partner with Northwest Harvest, who's a great leading food hunger agency. And they weren't used to receiving food on a daily basis and then, turning that around. And so we had to innovate with them, and we had to partner with them and work through some of the kinks. But that's an example of what we had to do multiple times throughout the United States and Canada. Yeah. And now as we look at how do we extend food rescue in countries where we're not doing that today, where there may be barriers or limitations, how do we partner with others? The Global Food Banking Network, World Food Program, et cetera. How can we expand the learnings here and learn from others to have a greater impact around the world?
Yeah, so much of this is just listening, honestly. And whether it's listening to our ancestors or indigenous people or listening to people who have figured it out or other countries, that's a fast way to scale. They've already figured out a lot. And sometimes it's just swallowing what you think and hearing what other people have done. So, by the way, I appreciate everyone's open-mindedness to hear about Seattle and Washington and here, so you guys have already been doing that. I want to end with just a quick 1 minute from each of you. Maybe we'll start with Jade. Where are we headed? What's your little outlook here?
Cool, thanks partner, Chef Joel. Where are we heading? 1 minute. I'm a recovering speech and debate nerd, and even this feels a little bit of a tall order. But to maybe recenter around partnerships, and I really like how you, I'm going to do the thing where I pivot and go back to what you were doing a little bit. And you were asking, how do we take this home a bit? Because it's not lost on me. I grew up in South Dakota. In fact, I grew up with a single mom on a farm in South Dakota, and my graduating class was 13 people. So it's not lost on me on how far some of this work in Washington might feel from some of you here today, considering the national approach to this conference, or maybe international approach. And what I really want to encourage, and where we found success in Washington State, maybe it's not where we're heading completely to solving the food waste issue or making sure everyone's fed, because that feels really far and does not feel like a SMART goal to me right now. What is tangible, though, and what's been successful for Washington has been our partnership so far. And amongst the people in this room, I really think Food Waste Prevention Week has also been something that has catalyzed food waste prevention communication and almost given us a standard operating procedure for the lingo of the people in this room, you know, a best practice. And it's given us a way to level set the conversation towards prevention, so it's not just the compost pile in the backyard. It's, if I measure this, I might be able to actually increase the quality of my donations. I might actually save money. There's a conversation happening now, and I'm really proud to share that Washington has had the most partners with Food Waste Prevention Week the last 2 years in a row, and that's been strategic because we've leveraged our Use Food Well campaign, our partnerships, and making sure we have a culture-centered message. We have Seattle Public Utilities. They have already done a ton of work. We really don't want to duplicate that. We want to leverage it. You said potency earlier. That's a patented Liz Fikejs word, and we want to find our potent lane, and mine at the state level with my team is to make sure we're amplifying. And so I really think Food Waste Prevention Week, all of you have access to that. It is usually in April, and I really want to encourage you to leverage that amplification moment. And I think the more we can have a conversation together, it is a movement, and I think we can say something together in concert. So I'll just say that.
Cool, love it. Kelly.
Great. I'll just say, we have such appreciation for the city of Seattle and the leadership position that Seattle has taken in this space. As we think about our business, we're in 10,000 communities. There's 10,000 potential different policies and regulations out there. And so we just commend Seattle, and the higher the bar that Seattle has, that will influence what we do, because we need to develop a program that works across the highest standard. So as we think about where we're going, as policy and regulation continues to get higher, we need to exceed that, and we want to exceed that. So the future is bright, in my opinion, as we think about more we can do, operate more effectively, efficiently, and have higher impact to the planet.
Wow, okay. I think where we're going is deeper collaboration. I see it in the conference. I see it in the work that we're all doing. It can be a word that's overused, and when we talk about scale, because we keep wanting to get to scale, I also think about how do we do that in the most meaningful way in each of our communities? How do we keep the beginner mindset? How do we keep iterating? So I think about all the pilots that we do, and we go into a pilot and we come out of it and we may have different partners with a solution we never thought we were going to test.
Totally.
So I guess I would encourage all of us, and yes, Seattle has this reputation. We have so much to learn from all of you across public, private, nonprofit sectors. And I think there's a humbleness in this collective community to keep learning. And that's how we have to do it.
Thank you. Valerie.
So never before in human history have we been this far removed from the source of our food. And I often, as a nutritionist, my elders would say, like, how do we help people return to a traditional foods diet when our usual and custom harvesting grounds are now Safeway and Albertsons and QFC, right? And so I'm often reminding folks that there are principles to our ancestral diets that are as applicable today as they were generations ago. And those are things like our foods are local foods, they're maybe regional foods too, they're seasonal, they're, thinking about the 13 moons, it's just like really on my mind right now, the 13 moons that we've shared globally as a collective. Globally, our ancestors have organized their lives around these 13 lunar moons. What moon is it now? Focus on that. That's the food with the vitality, getting connected to where our food is at and where we should be moving through the land, what we should be doing. That reclamation of being connected to the source of our food will also help us think about honoring it, all the way from river to table. And that our original stewards of this land have these viable blueprints that can help inform and shape a food system that still feeds future generations, because what we do, we want them to experience as well. And so I would encourage everybody to think about that. Think about your ancestors. Like, what would they recognize as food, and how would they be holding that up? And how do we hold those conversations with people through story and the social capital that's like invested there, that they have perfected and refined recipes and passed those down through time. And it's our responsibility to hold them, caretake for them, and pass them on to the future generations. And that means that we need the future, in my community, we need the future to know what salmon tastes like. You know, we need them to know. And so I encourage you all to do the same, to like get back, reclaim those ancestral traditions, because they're powerful and they have so many deep, meaningful teachings. And working with kids, I'll tell you, that's what they actually care about. Like, they don't care that blueberries have antioxidants in them. They want to hear the story about how blueberry became medicine for the people, you know, so they're hungry for that. And I think we are also all hungry for something else than what nutrition offers. So.
Yeah, I think everyone in this room is hungry, and I think in the sense of, well, I think that like food waste is kind of like a slap, right? It's like, wow, like we waste that much food. Oh my, and like immediately as a human, I think we're like, how do we fix it? Like, I want to run, I want to sprint after this. And what I'm taking away from this session is, actually, you know, you can sprint and you might not get too far, it's like that saying, or you can slow down and learn from the past and our ancestors, partner, pilot, learn, listen. And if maybe we just kind of take a step back from feeling like our heads are on fire, we might get farther. So thank you to these 4 amazing leaders. And again, just makes me double down on being such a proud Seattleite and Washington Stater. And thank you all for being open and listening. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. You can just leave the microphone. After you. Thanks, guys. Okay, this next one's a doozy. Hold on to your seat, literally. I don't think what we're about to do has ever been done in any conference, in any hotel setting, on any stage. Pull out your phones, scooch up on the chair, game is on. I'm not going to say what we're going to do, but I'll let our guests do it. But we brought in 2 complete experts. They're amazing. You guys can start heading up here. Our first expert is Suzanne Long, former Chief Sustainability and Transformation Officer of Albertsons Company. So give it up for Suzanne. And we got good old Ben Oakes with the shirt that is making the summit. Seriously. I mean, my God. Stud, VP and GM Retail Divert. You are the guy at Divert, and a circular economy company on a mission to prevent food from being wasted through nationwide infrastructure and innovative technology. So the right 2 people for what we're about to do. I will let you guys introduce what the heck we are about to do.
So I'm going to start us off. So first of all, good morning. And if you are on the edges of the room, I just want to let you know that there are seats here in the center. It might be kind of fun to come on in. You can definitely see it on the screen. But what I will tell you is that I usually speak to people about that there's 3 facts that should not coexist. And most of the people in the room know these facts, but I like to share them anyway. So the first is, and most of us know this, is that 30 to 40% of food goes to waste, right? So then the second fact is that in 2023, because 2024 stats aren't out yet, over 45 million Americans didn't know where their next meal was coming from, and about a quarter of those were children. So we're wasting 30 to 40% of food, yet we have all these people who don't know where their meal is coming from. And then third is that if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd highest emitting country behind China in the US. So we're wasting all this food, we have a bunch of hungry people, and we're doing the worst thing we could for the planet. And it just doesn't feel like those 3 things should coexist. But how do you make the compelling argument to people and like make them, well, what can I do about that, right? So I have a little exercise I'm going to do with you all to kind of kick us off. And then Ben's going to tell you a little bit about what they do. And then we are going to have a little bit of fun. So,
Terrified.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for us at Divert, and I got to say, I'm wearing my pizza underwear as well, but you'll just have to trust me on that.
I told you it's going to be a great session.
It's going to be good. It's going to be. I'm not going to talk about that.
For us at Divert, the bin, and we'll do an unveiling, is really the conduit between like a grocery store and our facilities. When we were talking about how much food is going to our landfill. So for us, setting up the grocery store to be able to get as much out of the landfill, bring awareness to it, provide visibility, make sure that it's not going in that black box of the compactor or the dumpster outside. It seems really simple, right? It's a bin, but it's really thoughtfully designed in terms of how it's set up in the back room. It immediately has an impact of, you now have associates who are culling, okay, now I can see what's going into the bin. I can understand and complement my other recycling and donation programs. There's like an immediate root cause and impact at the store, but it's really hard for corporations or businesses at scale to be able to see like, okay, how do we make decisions off of that? And so that's where our facilities come in, where these bins come back to our facilities. We can see hundreds of them located on our floor, and we're starting to track and gather information that we can then provide insights, actions, and root cause back to retailers on what's really going on. And we now, we see a lot of retailers across the country, so we can start to benchmark and be like, what does good look like? How do we work with organizations like Feeding America to be like, how do we donate more products? So it's a learning and a build upon, over time. And before we kind of dive in and go into those root causes and insights, we'll kind of show some examples. Suzanne's going to take us through a little humbling exercise.
Okay, all right. So we're going to bring up a slide. Wait just a second for me, though, before you bring up the slide. All right, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you count the number of times the letter F is in the paragraph that you're about to see. There are no tricks to this exercise. Anybody who knows has done this before. There are no tricks. Many bad things, a liar is not among them, okay? So you're looking for lowercase f's, uppercase f's, like I don't care. You just find all the f's. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this, and then we're going to just see how we do. So now, is everyone clear? Is anyone confused about what we're looking for in the paragraph? I'm serious. Is anyone clear on the instruction? Are we good? Okay. You have 1 minute.
I'm doing this.
Let's go ahead and get that paragraph up there, starting now. Okay, done. Okay, now, I've learned a few tricks in doing this over the years. First of all, can we please take the slide down? Because when I tell you the answer, you're going to recount those F's, and you're not going to listen to a darn thing I have to say, okay? So, all right, so I want each of you to just find somebody at your table, tell them the number that you just gave. Okay, that's long enough. I know, you're like, what in the world is going on?
By the way, impressed.
Okay.
I'm impressed.
Okay. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Stay with me, team.
Stay with us.
We aren't even to the fun part of the day. I'm telling you, we've got way more in store than counting F's. Yeah. All right. Raise your hand if you got in the low 20s, 25 or lower. Raise your hand if you got in the 26 to 30 range. Okay. 30 to 35. 36 to 40. For those of you who have your hand up, give me some of those numbers. 36, 39, 38, 37. The number is 39. Okay.
I was only off by 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do I do this exercise? Okay. When we look at retailers, and when I'm talking as we, right now I'm talking a bit, when we do our exercise in just a second, I'm going to be talking about we as retailers. I'm not representing any retailer in particular, which is actually what's enabling me to do this exercise on the stage today, okay? This is a random bin that we've got that we're going to be going through, but the reason I do the Count the F's exercise is because it's very easy to judge why someone doesn't do something, why you don't get the result that you're looking for. So in this room, you had all the instruction you needed. Everybody said they were clear on the instruction.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what an F looks like, I'm assuming. Yeah. Everybody can count. Everybody had adequate time to complete the exercise, question mark. Did some of you do it twice, I bet? Yeah. None of those things are typically true in retail. You do not have all the skills you need. You are not clear on the instruction, right? You do not have the time that you need to get it done. You may not even be, you might be so rushed, you may want to get it right, but something just happens that doesn't make it go the way it's intended.
You're saying the people on the ground who are going through it, they just have so much going on?
They just have so much going on.
Yeah.
And
It changes
even,
all the time.
it changes all the time. And here's the crazy thing, in retail, in grocery retail, I mean, we have retailers in this room that have 250,000, 500,000, millions of employees. They turn over at 60 to 70% a year. Yeah. Imagine if you have 300,000 employees and 200,000 of them are gone next year, and you're trying to get them to execute perfectly. We just sat in a room and did an exercise where we could have done it absolutely right. And one person, I think, got 39. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we do this exercise, because I think it illustrates it's very easy to judge, and it's sometimes not as easy to understand how complex this is and how much effort it takes to get it right and why it takes partnership to then try and make the world better.
So what you're saying is retailers want to get this right.
Yes, so my
Everyone
goodness.
wants, no, you're not like, yeah, I mean, I personally, sometimes I walk in and, you walk into a grocery store and you're like, screw this place, I know half of this. You feel bad and you villainize them.
Yes.
As a consumer.
Yeah.
And definitely someone who's not in food or as a chef who values food, like they just think, oh, this is just, they go late night, they see the carts and then pulling down all those things, and they're like, this is just a profit scheme. This is just.
That's right.
It's very easy at scale to focus on like a grocery store, but look at our homes. Like we don't all have perfect fridges, right? Like I definitely don't make the right decisions every single day. So if you take that, and yes, a bin is large and it's much different than our trash can or compost bin at home, but very similar. And I think this is like break down the walls of judgment and how do we kind of just learn from each other, use information, and just get better.
So we're going to go have a little fun now. So how do we teach people to count the F's in grocery? We dig, okay? So what Ben does this for a different reason. When I was in grocery, I did it to try and illustrate to stores where the opportunity was. You'll notice, Ben, why do you wear that shirt?
This is my dive uniform.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
And there's no masks, there's no gloves, there's no hazmat suit. Why?
I want to see flesh to flesh.
Yes, yes.
I was like, can I get some gloves?
No.
Is there a shower on premises?
Nope.
Like,
Jewelry's staying on. I'm telling you, we're serious about this thing. What we want to do is we're going to just hope that this bin has everything that we need. We're not exactly sure, but I can tell you that in 3 years of doing this, I've never been disappointed. Ben, have you ever been disappointed?
Nope. It's always a surprise.
Okay, we can take that. And we have back here a few little boxes. So as we go through this, you guys are going to help us. Oh, that's on upside down.
By the way, there's a smell. There's something happening over here.
Yeah, this is real.
Yeah, this is real. This is happening.
There's no joke here. Sorry, this is on backward. Okay, there we go. Okay, so during the course of this, if you can scan the QR code, if we can put up the QR code real quick. You're going to scan the QR code, and 5 times throughout the presentation, we're going to actually ask you what's your opinion of something that we pull out. Something that we pull out of here is sellable still. We should be donating it, or we should be diverting it. All right. So we need some audience participation. All right. So we're just gonna start diving in. All right. So we got.
Can I get in here with you guys?
Get in.
We have some floral on the top here. So okay. Yeah. What you got?
This is a package of a bunch of peaches, and I don't know if we can see or where the camera, I can't tell, but
They're still
you know
doing
what,
the QR code.
what we're seeing here,
Oh, nice.
and you tell me what you're seeing too.
First of all, I'm seeing apples, but I'll go to the next
Apples.
thing.
I said peaches. They look like I'm clearly not cut out to wear this shirt.
That's why they brought a chef on stage.
Your shirt has apples on it too.
I think one of the things we see is one bad apple, right? One bad apple in a package. What do I do with it? How much time do I spend to separate it out? What are the then different pathways after that to what can I do with the rest of the other apples? And I think, you know, this is one of the things that we commonly see is, you know, you can look at loose produce or packaged produce, but is that like one bad apple ruins the whole lot.
It's actually the perfect first thing to pull.
It is. So let's just use this as a first one, just so people can get used to the voting. Is this sellable, donatable, or diverting? What should we do with it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and show the results. Okay, so you're in a grocery store. We are all sitting here as food waste experts, and we are not aligned on what we're going to do with it. But we're going to go ahead and put it in the donate bin, because that's what you, and actually, it is pretty donatable. But this is the thing, is like, if you're working in a grocery store and you started last week, how do you know? How do you know what you're supposed to do? Is this the first thing you're worried about? Are you stocking shelves and worrying about taking care of customers and making sure that the freshest stuff is out there? Or are you worried about like, ooh, I have 2 seconds to make that decision. Am I making the right decision? So we're gonna keep going.
That's right.
All right.
Can I tell you what I pulled?
Oh, what'd you get?
So I got, I'm not kidding, these are stunning raspberries, but one very fuzzy one. So kind of similar to the apple situation. So would that go similar, or should we ask the group, or what do you think?
Ben, what do you think we would do with that?
You know, especially when it's like the moldy, can you actually pull that out? Is there something you can do with the non-packaging, right? Open the packaging up. Can you recycle that packaging? How do we coach them on that? And then, you know, can you transform or donate the rest of those items? And berries is one that's tricky. I mean, it is probably one of the #1 things that we see at Divert because there's just so much high volume.
Totally.
It's highly perishable.
Yeah.
And one of the things that none of us see, I mean, unless we're a retailer, is that there's a lot of this stuff coming through from the distribution centers and the supply chain where if you're a store and you have a bunch of this in your produce cooler, okay, I'm gonna pull the bad and put the good on. Like I need to keep this stuff moving because our shoppers wanna have really good stuff. So we see a ton of this come through.
Raise your hand if you've ever been frustrated with a slow checker at a grocery store. Oh, come on. Do not, if anybody who has their hand down has never been to a grocery store. Let's be serious, okay? This is how we think about it in grocery. That is labor. If I have to go through and pick out specific berries, there is not time to do that on an entire case of berries. And to be honest, team, for all the food waste love or food waste hate or whatever it is in this room, you're not buying a pack of berries that has a moldy berry in it. You are passing that up because you're spending your hard-earned dollars and you want those berries to last in your fridge a long time. So what are you going to do with those berries? So I don't know where we ended up putting those.
I put them in donate, but it's hard to,
I don't
it
know.
depends on also your donation partner and how quickly you're picking up and turn it around.
Yeah, that can be, we'll donate, we'll be generous this time.
Generous.
Okay, how about this? Yeah, this is a salami from like a deli. Like you're not buying this for your house. This is like what you go up to the deli counter and slice.
Does it have a date on it?
This has, yeah, I'm looking. Oh yeah, let's see, June 27th.
Is it fully sealed?
Fully sealed.
June 27th, what's that? That's not even
a couple days?
Okay, so what might be reasons that this is in the bin? Close to sell by.
Temperature.
Temperature. Cold chain could have been broken. This sat out for some reason, and they're worried that it might not be food safe anymore. So we certainly want to use it as a teaching moment in a store, but kind of scary that a 4-pound chub of meat.
The value of that too, when you think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, meat, deli.
So I'm going to put this in the divert because the truth is we don't know the answer as to why it's out, and we don't want anything to be unfood safe, right? Oh, by the way, I didn't say this, but this is my dumpster diving outfit. So we would go into, and I'm not joking, hundreds of stores, and it turned out that I got pictures taken like twice in the same outfit, and then we just started joking that this is my dumpster diving outfit, and so ever since then, this is what I wear. Why? Because we want to show that there's value in food. If we wore the gloves or the mask or the hazmat suit, it seems like the food is untouchable. We want people to see the value of what's in these bins, and if we make it seem like it's no good for us, why would you be willing to donate it and ask someone else to eat it? So, all right, let's keep finding.
What do you got, Joel?
I pulled up, wow. This is a bomb of sushi.
That's a bomb of sushi.
It just exploded together because I could smell the nori and the fish. It's beautiful.
Little
starving.
sushi soup.
Little sushi soup. Divert?
I don't know what else.
At this point, there's not much. But I mean, the question is, if you have a lot of the retailers now, you're trying to create this experiential shopping experience. So prepared foods, eating while you're there is very important. What do you do with all of that at the end of the day?
Yeah.
It's really hard to figure out the demand of that on a daily basis. There's obviously ways that we're getting better, but I mean, what do you do with this stuff at the end of the day, especially sushi or meat, where it's very limited? So.
Well, I have another example like this. So, and I think the camera is on it, right? Okay, so this is one of my favorites. So it definitely has a hole in the bag. This is one of my favorites because it illustrates the sushi point. So thank God this is in here, actually. Okay. I would say that's 20, 25 pounds, you think? Okay, that's fried chicken. Okay. Now, are grocery stores the only place that have that fried chicken? No. I'm going to dump this out so you can see it. So, in most grocery stores, what you would do with fried chicken is you would put it in the cold case after you're done with it. You'd package up in like a little, but sometimes you still make too much, right? So let's pretend that they made too much, which isn't a good thing either, because that's all profit. This is all, by the way, these bins are by the pound. The more that's in this bin, the more you pay. How much does it cost to donate? 0. So the best thing you can do for your P&L if you can't sell something is anything that's donatable and edible, it should be going there. But how are you supposed to do this?
This is where,
how are you supposed to take a corn dog and an egg roll and, a chicken thigh and a chicken breast? And I know I completely freak people out.
Yeah,
it's totally good, though. I'm totally good with this team. How am I supposed to donate this? Am I supposed to take the labor? Am I supposed to freeze it? Am I supposed to refrigerate it? Is it okay if it's below 10? And these are all things, by the way, these are universal questions, but we treat them as though each and every retailer and each and every restaurant is trying to figure it out. There should just be a standard way of doing it so that you can rescue every freaking piece of protein that you possibly can, right? So there's a bag of macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, there's lunch here for sure, for everybody. One of the things that, we'll skip to maybe what we'd like to see in here is like, these are trimmings of like a watermelon and a pineapple top. And I think Chris from Walmart was talking about yesterday some examples of like innovative ways to even reduce this where we don't see this coming into the bin.
Right.
But this is the way that someone clearly took the time to transform this, cut it up, put it in packaging, put it back on the shelf and resell it. And so, this is the types of things that more and more of as we work with retailers, we see more of this and less of the packaged products.
That's right.
Because that's really where most of this packaged stuff, you could do something else with it that's higher value and feed people. It's just decision-making tools, resources.
Yeah. And it's the best thing is when you open up one of these bins and you can't even get down to layers where you can find stuff because there's so much actual rinds and peels and things like that that's legitimate that you want to see in these bins.
Breakfast?
Always.
Okay, what's the date on it? Do we have a date on that one?
Date on this is Best Buy 8/10/25. So why?
Can I keep that person?
Yeah, you want to go home? Yeah, exactly.
That right over there. Okay. So we have some vanilla ice cream. I'm assuming since it's been sitting here, I'm just going to go ahead and say that one's a divert. Let's pick one that people can vote on here. All right.
What about this? I'm curious, like this type of thing.
Oh, it's a great example.
Okay. So this says sell through
the
22nd.
Okay, so the store can no longer sell it. By the way, those laws vary by state, by municipality, but the store cannot sell it.
By the way, this is carrot, cheese, and snap peas.
Does it look good? Does it?
Looks totally fine. I don't know if I do the ranch, but I do the other things. It's just been
You
sitting
make your
out.
own.
It's been sitting out.
Okay, fair. So
What do you guys think?
let's go ahead and vote. All right, let's show the results. I think the cell is interesting. We literally can't. Okay, like, it's just not possible. And we would never, like, none of us would ever want that to go in the trash, right? Because we're trying to keep the methane emissions out. So, and by the way, I know you're seeing packaging in here. Can you just talk for a second about the depackaging you guys do?
Yeah, and so, you know, one of the things is vertically integrated. We talked about when it gets to our facility, the first thing we do is how do we get as much information from this as possible, actionable information. We don't need to, you know, get every single little piece. But after that, we need to make sure we're doing something with it that's responsible and getting it out of the landfill, reducing our carbon impact. So we have robust depackaging equipment that's actually breaking down this and separating the organics from the non-organics. And then leveraging our technology on site to be able to capture the carbon from that, turn it into renewable energy. We're capturing the nitrogen and pulling that out as ammonia and using it for fertilizer. And then we have a solid soil amendment. So we're really pulling everything out that we can. Our goal here is to not have these bins. They continue to go less and less and less, which a lot of our partners that we've been working with for a long time, we start to see that, but it's a human-powered business. And so like even some of these bins, you know, it's maybe turnover. It may be something happened at the store or at the region that we don't know. And so that's where we got to keep staying on top of it.
Maybe they had a refrigerator that failed,
Yeah.
a freezer that failed, right? I mean, there are very legitimate business reasons why these things can happen. Maybe they got a shipment of product where it was already close dated, right? It's like there are legitimate reasons. So, but then we want to try and donate as much as we can. All right, we're gonna keep going.
You know what? I mean, I've never done this before, but it's so freaking complex.
Oh, it's
It's just crazy. I mean, seriously, because you don't know. Like, did a fridge break?
That's right.
Like, how long has that been off the ice? Did it fall on the ground? Like, your technology is not going to be able to know why it's there if it looks perfect.
Right.
And I think I personally, as someone who takes this stuff personally, I get mad. And I'm like, come on, those raspberries look awesome. There's a whole story behind why those raspberries are there. And I do think there needs to be kind of a culture shift. I think you're doing it by staying, you know, looking awesome with your shirts and everything and not getting in a hazmat suit. This is a dumb question, I'm just gonna ask, but like, why not put this in the front of the grocery store? Like, why not, like, this is moving me. I don't know about you guys. This is like very moving. But I'm interested in this and I'm a chef and all that. Would it just freak people out? Would it just totally?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd probably say a couple things. And the first is that actually there are solutions actually represented here today that do exactly that. You know, you've got like a flash food, for example, or a Too Good To Go, that are taking some of these close dated or, you know, about to, and in some cases they're a surprise bag, or you can go to the front of the store and pick that, and those solutions are great. Those are also great for retailers because then they can still sell it.
Totally.
They're still getting value out of it.
100%.
But let's be serious, team. Do you like shopping in a grocery store where the first thing you'd see walking in there is food that looks like it's about to turn bad? No. I mean, what we say we would do and what we actually do as consumers is really, really different. And so to me, it's how do we educate, I shouldn't even say, this is already happening. How do we continue to educate people who work in grocery stores or distribution centers what is still sellable, what they can do, and how they can manage the product to get the full life out of it, because they don't want to buy food they can't sell. But then if they can't sell it, how do you get information in front of them that compels them and makes it easy for them to donate? And then if they can't donate it, at least make sure it gets into a divert bin.
I think it's just creating a culture of empathy, not giving excuses, right? Like we need to be better, we need to do something about this, but that there's an understanding of, okay, this person who culled something from the shelf isn't purposely doing this, and it's easy for us to point the finger and blame, but then when there's not solutions, people just feel trapped. And so that's why it's always been kind of hidden, right? Like hide it in the dumpster, not that anyone's doing that purposely, but like We're starting to bring it out. And then when you say, okay, let's use this as a teaching moment, let's learn from it, it's not a, hey, you just need to be better. And I think that's the shift that I've seen personally, and I think everyone here, you know, in Refed, this is what we're here to do. And so I think we're starting to see that shift, and then therefore, people are feeling less guarded about, you know, and being more accepted, but also then to be like, okay, let's do something about it.
I love that.
So I think let's do, we'll do a few power moves so we can make sure we get stuff into these bins. I'm going to assume this could be donated. Here's leeks. Okay.
I mean, I think this stuff is sellable, right? I mean,
some of it might be actually. So I agree.
Good.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
Good.
That's a good point.
From what we know.
That one goes in there.
So more whole ingredients are sellable.
Okay,
I think just like you look at quality, you know, the sniff test, the feel, like
probably not.
I mean, and then
probably can. I would say donate that.
And like one of the things that I would say that like, I mean, this is, I'm sure a lot of the food rescue organizations here is like, how quickly does this have to turn around before then it's just their waste?
Right.
And that's the hard part of like, you don't want to keep just moving it down where, okay, now we have to get this and turn it around, and now it's our problem to deal with it as well. So it's, but someone in the store can't make that decision for someone downstream. So
right.
This is honestly one of the challenging one for me, and I think a lot of grocers and food banks and organizations.
Do a lot of, like, if I see those bananas and I'm like, you know, immediately I'm like, oh my God, banana bread. Like, I want that. Now I'm craving banana bread. And, like, why couldn't a grocer push all this food to the back, retransform it into something that someone would look at as appetizing?
Great question. And actually, that does happen. Like, it's just like repurposing the chicken, right? Or we chop it into chicken salads, or you know, put it on, you know, in like a chicken Caesar salad or things like that. We repurpose bread into croutons or into breadcrumbs. All of that happens, but there's still it still ends up there's waste. There's surplus. And so it's from there that we need to say,
it's like too much.
It's still too much. Because let's be serious, team. If there's one roasted chicken left on the shelf, you're like, why is there only one? I'm not buying the last chicken. I'm going to look for something. You're laughing because it's true. You're laughing because you think everyone else passed that by. That looks good.
I mean, yeah, like this is maybe a little discolored, but this could be donated. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this one was in a bag. This is ahead of iceberg lettuce. So let's vote on this one. This one's kind of an interesting one.
It's gnarly.
Is it sellable, donatable? Is it divert?
Donate.
What do we think? What do we think?
Can I see the Cheerios?
Can I see the Cheerios? All right, let's see the results. Where do we go on this one? Okay, donate. It's interesting. I'm not asking for, but like it would be interesting to find out what does a food bank think.
Yeah.
You know, is that something where they're like, seriously, you just sent us that?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about food banks, I think a lot of people think that when stores donate food that it's going back to a central food bank. It's not. It's going to like a local place, right? It's going literally down the street is the best way to make that happen. And so when you have those bananas, it isn't days before they get there. It's usually pretty quick. You know, it's really pretty quick. And one of the things is pushing to get more frequent pickups at the grocery stores. All right, so this was said to be donate, so we'll stick it in there.
This Cheerios just has a giant hole in it.
Yeah, it looks like someone opened a box and slit right through it.
Yeah.
So.
Because that's just what people do.
That's just, you know,
I mean,
that is just an F.
And
you just get an F for that.
And
so.
I mean, and if you look at this bin, this is the type of stuff that, you know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, we would see more of, like this grocery items that were packaged, and over time, I mean, this may be the only
So I want to talk about that.
Oh, that's a great point.
Well, if we were to have a bin, or a picture of a bin from 9 years ago or 10 years ago, would it look different or kind of the same?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would look different. You would see a lot more grocery items. You'd see a lot more discrepancy in date codes. I mean, we saw some examples here. Date codes and labels is very confusing.
So are we moving in the right direction? Like, is this a win?
Yeah.
There's more awareness, for sure. And here's the thing, because they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You're paying to haul away that waste.
Right. And I think, like, it's hard for us to see, but the number of bins has gone down, like volume. So overall, like we look in a bin, we're like, wow, this is a full bin, but you know, how long did it take this store to fill this?
Right.
And so we're starting to see smarter decisions, but that's why I say it's never ending. I mean, it's a constant feedback loop. And there's feedback to the stores, but then also to the broader decision makers at a higher level to be like, oh, these clearly are the programs that we have to put some attention to, or the departments that maybe, wow, our deli and prepared foods clearly don't have
We're making
solutions.
way too much chicken,
Yeah.
for example.
And this might be dumb, and maybe someone's working on this, but like, I'm imagining a checker in the back of the store who's getting all this food, and that checker has a scanner that's AI, and it's like, it takes in all the information. It looks at it, says, that's a rip, and it's just instantly is like, divert. It makes the decision for the person. Is there technologies like that happening on the ground that kind of helps, or not really? I don't know. This is just
you
me.
can probably talk to. I mean, we've done a lot of work with a lot of different retailers on there's a scan out system within there. Okay, I choose it. It goes to donate or some disposition stream.
Yeah.
What do I do with it? Because they want to be able to track that.
Yeah.
It's another step. It's another process.
Yeah.
It's human, or it's very. You know, the success rate can vary on
Got
that
it.
to really be like, okay. I mean, think about it. If you have an apple with a PLU sticker,
Yeah.
are you going to type in that PLU and put that versus a barcode where you just scan it? And so there's a lot of, I mean, it's store by store, it's training. That scan out system is, I mean, we're getting better about it.
Yeah.
And I think retailers are trying to push how do we able to manage that and measure it at a store basis, but that's where we can kind of complement. It's like broad strokes as well.
Well, and loose produce is really interesting. I mean, I'll tell you at Albertsons, what we did was we actually created, instead of trying to ask them to scan it, we would just say, you know what, a banana box, which is like the universal box that all grocery stores have because bananas are the #1 selling item in produce. We would say, if you fill that box, it's about 20 pounds. So if it's loose produce, because how am I supposed to donate this? Like, what am I supposed to do with it? So we just said, just put it in a box of produce. As you go through your department and you're restocking and you're culling and you're pulling off the brown lettuce leaf and all that kind of stuff, you just create a donate box. Put your bruised apples or whatever in there, and then you scan it out as one box of produce, and we just say that's 20 pounds. Like sometimes it's going to be heavier, sometimes it's going to be lighter, but that is fast, it's efficient, and it gets the food where it needs to go without adding a lot of labor.
All right,
I know
we are going
we are
into
time.
Yeah, but final thoughts from you guys.
Well, I'm going to go be rogue for a second. Can I get 3 volunteers from the audience to come up here, and I want to dig with you and just get them into the boxes? Anybody want to be brave and come up here? Okay, you, 1, 2. Come on, I got to have a third.
Right
for God's sake,
crowd.
people, I've done this hundreds of times. We are at a food waste conference right there. Yep. Okay. Hi, Emily. It's so good to see you. I know I'm completely gross. Okay. All right. One thing I am going to do as we sort these out, so thank you for the volunteers. Come on up. One thing for the volunteers is these items are typically pulled from the shelf in a grocery store before they go out of code. It's important to know that, and it's important to also know we would never donate items out of a divert bin. Okay, this is where they would go if you already decided not to
As
donate.
close to the shelf as possible is where these decisions should be made.
That's
This is
right.
about learning and getting better and then be able to get it out of the landfill, which is one of the problems that we were talking about, the major one.
Yeah. So in this case, these would have been picked from the shelf maybe a day before they happened. So you can freeze them, for example, and still donate them. So I want you, for the sake of this exercise, when you dig, I want you to be thinking about if you see a code date that seems like within a couple of days, let's assume it could have been donated and put it in the donate pile. Okay, we're not going to actually donate this food because it's been in here, but we'll learn our lesson. So I'm going to let you guys pick your boxes. We'll get you more boxes. We're going to give you 120 seconds. Don't worry about the loose chicken if you don't want to.
Yeah. You know, if you want to take home some flowers.
Yeah, we've got some beautiful flowers for you today for your efforts.
Yeah.
Okay, and go.
Go for it. Get out of the way.
I've never seen someone smile running to a, This is the right audience for this.
It is. I think we might have.
You were like, who wants to dig? People were sprinting.
Who wants? I know. People were like, I want to go. If you run out of space in a box, just.
It feels like they're determined to do the whole bin.
No, they are totally determined.
You're like, are you looking for work?
We have jobs.
So while they're doing that, and I know, Ben, you are not allowed to do this in your business. Jackie. We said that this was not out of code. Right? Everybody with me? It's sealed.
Good luck, Jackie.
Yeah.
She goes, I'll drink it later. Yeah.
So then I make sure that people see me eat it and drink it, because if I'm going to ask somebody to donate it and have somebody else eat it, I better be willing to do it myself. Now remember, it's not usually in this bin, okay? And I know I've grossed out a lot of people today. I'm okay with that.
No.
As a mother, I have done far worse, weird things with my children, okay? But if we're going to solve the problem, we have to not be above it. We actually have to be a part of it, so.
You have made that abundantly clear. Thank you so much. Ben, thank you so much. Give it up for them. Let's see the work we did over here.
Work we did.
Give it up for our divers.
Give it up for our volunteers.
You guys
I
are
know.
amazing.
They
want to keep going.
It's addicting. Okay. All
They're
right.
going to be here till tonight. I have a couple of announcements to make real quick. We're going to take a little break. Our lovely partners at Starbucks put together a little tasting, actually. So you can go out there, taste different types of coffee. They have little pairings, so that will be really nice. Sessions start at 10:45 upstairs, and then we're back here at noon. Again, one more round of applause. That was insane. That was insane. Thanks all. Good job, you guys.